All right, today we're going to continue reviewing chapters 3 and 4. We are on day 3 for today. So if you would, please take out your red pens, and I want you to fill in that section of some rules at the top of what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so this is something that we learned back in chapter 4. I believe this is going to be 4.1. So if you want to write that down just in case you want to go back and watch a longer video about it. First things first, it asks us to identify the variable. Can someone raise your hand and remind me what exactly is a variable? Kaylin, what is it?
A letter.
It is a letter. Almost. All right, so here's what it says. Move the number that is keeping the variable alone from being alone with an inverse operation. Is there anyone who can raise their hand and help me with what's another word for that word inverse? Christopher?
Opposite.
Opposite is correct. All right, so here are some inverse operations, or operations that undo each other. Addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. And then it says here, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. And then at the bottom it says equations have one solution to the variable that makes it true. So there's not going to be a bunch of answers. There's only one answer. Let's go ahead and do some practice. First things first, everybody. What is my variable? X. What is not allowing X to be alone? Okay, now I've written some words up here. Add by, subtract by, multiply by, and divide by. I want us to use those words. So guys, what's not allowing that X to be alone? Subtract by 5. Good job. What's the opposite of subtract by 5? Add by 5. What you do to one side? All right, so now these cancel out. Remember, we're going to drop that equal sign directly down because this will help us to have nice, neat work. And on the left side, all that's left is an X. On the right side, we have to combine those two terms. Class, what's negative 1 plus 5? 4. Positive 4 is correct. Now, that is our final answer, but it does ask us up here to check our solution. Remember, in order to check the solution, you simply rewrite the original problem, but we're going to rewrite it down here. So drop down your equal sign first. Once again, this is simply just to help us make sure all of those equal signs are getting lined up in one nice, neat place. And the answer we're rewriting is the original problem. X minus 5 equals negative 1. But guys, do we know what this X is? Yes, our answer is, we found out that it was 4. So I'm going to erase that X, and instead I'm going to replace it with a 4. Now, let's talk about this on the left-hand side. What is 4 minus 5? Negative 1. I'm going to drop that down. Drop down your equal sign and drop down that negative 1 on the right-hand side. Guys, is this a true statement? Negative 1 equals negative 1? Yes. Yes. Give yourself a mini check mark because it did check out. Let's go on to the next one. Gerard, identify the variable. What is not allowing the variable to be alone? Not just negative 5. Use these words up here. Subtract by 5. How do I get rid of subtract by 5? Add by 5. What you do to one side, you have to be fair and do it to the other side. This cancels out. Drop down the equal sign. P equals, and Gerard, what is negative 2 plus 5? 3. Everybody box in that answer, but remember we need to check our problem. So we know that's the original problem. P minus 5 equals negative 2. Gerard, what will I plug in for this P right here? 3. So I'm going to erase that. Now let's just work on the left side. Gerard, what is 3 minus 5? Negative 2. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm just dropping that down. Now bring down your equal sign, and remember we're bringing down this other side that's a negative 2. Class, is this a true statement? Negative 2 equals negative 2? Yes, give yourself a mini check mark because it did check out. I want you to try problem C on your own. All right, let's see how we did. Help me out with this one. Anyone? Zion. What do we need to do?
So add by 13 points and stopping us from doing it. So we have to do subtract by 13 by doing both sides.
Good job.
And then 13.2 is cost off. And then right now 10.4 minus 13.2.
Okay, so how do I do that over there? Same sign or different sign? Different sign. So I've got to subtract them. I'm going to take the larger absolute value, put it on top, and subtract the smaller absolute value. When you do that, what do you get? Okay, we do get 2.8. Now take the sign of the larger number. Would that be a positive or a negative?
Negative 2.8.
Negative 2.8 is correct. Box that in. All right, let's check it out. Remember, instead of what it says originally there, which is W plus 13.2 equals 10.4, we are going to replace this W with what? Negative 2.8, our answer. Okay, so we're going to drop down the equal sign. On the right-hand side, we know it's 10.4, but now I've got to do this work over here. Same sign or different sign, class? Different sign, so we're going to subtract them. 13.2 minus 2.8. When I do that, I get 10.4. Is that what I wanted it to be? Yes, it did check out. Give yourself a mini check mark. Any questions on that? Okay, I want you guys to do the think, pair, share. Go ahead and do it on your own for now. All right, as I just walked around, I saw a lot of correct answers. Okay, but there's a few incorrect. I want to get rid of subtract by 12, so I have to add by 12. How many of you would say you did find that C equals 8? Okay, then when I plug it back in, 8 minus 12 equals negative 4, and it is true, 8 minus 12 is negative 4, so that checked out. Let's talk about some answers that we got. Who can help me with an answer that you got? Justice, what was your answer on K? Okay, I just want to show us kind of a problem that didn't end up correct and how when checking it, it can help us, okay? So here's what I think some people did. Watch this. They added 8.4, okay? They pretended that that canceled out. And then when they did this, they're like, oh, different sign, subtract, and take. How many of you would say you did that? Okay, now here's what I want you to see. The whole goal of checking things, if I were to rewrite this and bring this down here, K plus 8.4 equals negative 6.3. Well, if we said K was 2.1, those of you who got this answer should have checked it and seen something went wrong. If I'm adding those two together, 10.5, okay, because that right there would equal 10.5. Does 10.5 equal negative 6.3? No, because that did not work out, that needs to help me to go back here to say, what did I do wrong? Okay? How many of you can see where the mistake happened? All right, what should I have done at the very beginning?
Subtract by 8.4.
We have to do the opposite. Remember, only inverse operations are going to help us to get the correct answer. So instead of adding 8.4, we should have subtracted. This is where the big mistake came in. Now those do actually cancel out. But guys, what do you get when you do this part? We have to add the numbers and keep the sign. Okay, now let's check this out. Instead of K plus 8.4, what should I plug in?
Negative 14.7 plus 8.
Okay, so now, once again, I do not ask you to check the problem just to give you more work. It's for you to be able to go back and be like, oh, that doesn't check out. I did something wrong, okay? Now, these ones are opposites, which means we have to subtract 14.7 minus 8.4. When you subtract that, you do get 6.3. Take the sign of the larger number, and you see, okay, now that checks out. So that's the correct answer. Any questions on that one? How many of you understand where the mistakes were? Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Solve the equation and check your solution. For this problem now, everyone, we're still going to do it the same way. Identify the variable. What is not allowing the variable to be alone? Remember, use these words up here. Divide by 3. How do I get rid of divide by 3?
Multiply by 3.
The opposite of divide by 3 is to multiply by 3. What you do to one side? All right, Kyla, help me out. What should I do?
Okay, so, you keep that, you put down the x over 3.
And what's negative 6 times 3?
Oh. And then negative 6 times 3 equals, negative 18.
Negative 18. Okay, everybody box that in because that's your answer. Kyla, we're still going to check it. So everyone, if you would, drop down your equal sign. And what should I plug in?
X over 3 equals negative 6. And you put a 1 under the negative 6 to make it as a fraction.
You don't have to do that step. What do I want to plug in for the x?
Oh, 18, sorry.
Not 18, but
Negative 18.
negative 18. And Kyla, what is negative 18 divided by positive 3? Negative 6. Okay, that did check out, so we know we are ready to move on. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Heather, what is not allowing x to be alone? What about the 5? Divide by 5. How do I get rid of divide by 5? Multiply by 5. Class, what you do to one side? Very good. This cancels out. X equals, what is it? 10. Box it in. Now, instead of x divided by 5, I'm going to plug in 10 divided by 5 equals 2. Guys, what is 10 divided by 5?
2.
Does 2 equal 2?
Yes.
Give yourself a mini check mark. All right, let's go to the next one, problem C. This one's a little different. If I look on the left-hand side, it kind of looks like y is by itself. But what is not allowing y to be alone?
Negative 1.
The negative. Now, I heard negative 1. Do you understand that there is an understood 1 that's there? There's only one negative y. So if you would, take your red pen, and I want you just to put a little 1 there. How do I get rid of that negative 1?
Divide.
Okay, I heard two things. I heard add by 1, and I heard divide. What does it mean when a number is next to a letter? Multiply. So what's not letting it be alone? Multiply by negative 1. How do I get rid of multiply by negative 1?
Divide by negative 1.
Divide by negative 1 on both sides. Now negative 1 divided by negative 1 equals 1, so I can get rid of it, because that's just 1y. Zariana, what's negative 24 divided by negative 1? Positive 24 is correct. Now, when I go back to plug these things in, negative y equals negative 24. But we know what y is. What was y? 24. So I'm going to plug in that. Is this a true statement? Negative 24 equals negative 24? Yes. Give yourself a mini check mark. The next one is a little different because we do have the variable on the right-hand side. Okay? You could switch the order if you want, but you don't have to. All right? But still the goal is to identify the variable. Guys, what's the variable?
X.
What is not allowing x to be alone?
Multiply by negative 4.5.
Multiply by negative 4.5. How do I get rid of multiply by negative 4.5?
Divide by negative 4.5.
Good job. We're going to do that on both sides. On the right-hand side, negative 4.5 divided by negative 4.5 does equal 1. So on the right-hand side, I have 1x left. Now this one, because it's not a calculator chapter, we're going to have to do some work. So just, if you would, do it off to the side. Here we've got 18 divided by, now it says divided by negative 4.5. Guys, is my answer going to come out as a positive or a negative?
Negative.
It is going to be a negative. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and slip that in right now so I don't forget to put the negative at the end. We have 18 divided by 4.5. I have taught you, and you've learned in the past, you're not allowed to have a decimal point over there. So what do I need to do with the decimal point?
Move it,
Move it one time to the
Right.
right. Now, if I move that, what do I have to do to the 18?
Move the decimal.
Move the decimal, but I don't even see a decimal. Where is there an imaginary decimal?
Right behind the 8.
Right after the 8. So I'm going to move this over, and now what do I put in there?
A decimal, a 0.
A 0. Now let's rewrite this. It's 180 divided by 45. Guys, how many times do you think a 45 can go into a 180? 4 times? Let's check it out. What's 4 times 5?
20,
0 on bottom, 2 on top. 4 times 4?
16,
Plus 2. Ooh, you are correct. Good guess, guys. All right, so the answer is going to be, since we already know it's a negative, -4. Okay, let's rewrite the original problem. We're just going to bring it down here. 18 equals -4.5 times, what am I plugging in for x? -4. Okay, since we don't have our 4.5 times tables memorized, just take it off to the side somewhere, and you're going to multiply 4.5 times 4. When you do that, what do you get?
180.
180, or 18 because the decimal is not.
Okay, 18.0, which means 18. So it does check out. Any questions on that? So let's look at the next one. It says to describe the inverse operation that will undo the given operation. So if I'm subtracting 12, guys, what's the opposite of that?
Add by 12.
Add by 12. So let's just put plus 12 there, okay? What would the inverse operation of multiplying by 9 be?
Divide by 9.
Very good.
Subtract.
How about adding 6? Subtract by 6. And the finale, subtracting 10?
Plus 10.
Adding 10, okay? So just remember, you are going to add or subtract or do the opposite, multiply or divide, of whatever the exact integer is or number that's there. So here we've got a think, pair, share section. I want you guys to go ahead and try to do it on your own. As I walked around, I think pretty much everybody got this one correct. You divide by 6 on both sides, so D equals? Everybody? 4. You were so excited to move on to the next one. So now we have 6 times 4 equals 24, and we do know 6 times 4 is in fact 24, so they do equal each other. All right, let's go on to the next one. This one, I've seen quite a few mistakes on today. Let's see if you can get it correct. Go and try problem B on your own. All right. I'm going to show you a lot of what I just saw, and this is a mistake that I see a lot on the quiz coming up on Friday, okay? They see, oh, we're dividing by -3, and they think I should multiply by 3. They make up in their mind that this goes away, and they say the answer is -12. However, if I plug the original problem in, okay? Now the original problem, I'll erase this so you can see it, looks like this. M divided by -3 equals -4. If I plug in that answer, and we see that it says -12. Guys, what is -12 divided by -3? +4. Is this a true statement? +4 equals -4. Yes or no? No. So that tells me something went wrong, and I need to go back and double check what I did wrong. Who can tell me what I did wrong there?
So -4 times -3.
If I am trying to get rid of divide by -3, what's the opposite of divide by -3?
Divide by -3.
You have to multiply by the same exact integer. Now those cancel out because -3 divided by -3 does in fact equal 1, meaning my final answer should be 12. Now when I plug this in, 12 divided by -3, 12 divided by -3 does in fact equal -4. Okay? How many of you would say you made that mistake but you corrected it and you understand it? Okay, that's okay. Once again, that was a very commonly made mistake. All right, for this next one, we have not seen a problem like this in a long time. We have to get rid of multiply by negative 2/5. Is there anyone who happens to remember what I taught you way back in chapter 4 of what you do when you're trying to get rid of multiply by a fraction?
Divide by negative.
You are correct. You have to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so remember reciprocal means that you have to flip the fraction. So now instead, correct. And it's all because of KFC and the way that we divide fractions as to why we would do something like this.
I'm kind of confused.
Okay?
All on both sides.
So this right here cancels out, and now I am left with just P equals, is there anything I can cross reduce on the right?
Yeah.
What?
2
2
and
and
6.
What do they become?
A
1
1
and
and a
3.
3.
1 and a 3. Okay, so now we're multiplying negative 3 times negative 5. What do you get?
15.
Positive.
Negative 15.
It's a negative times a negative, so it should be a positive.
I couldn't see the negatives.
All right, let's go back. Negative 2/5 times 15, I could put over 1, equals negative 6. Once again, that becomes a 1 and a 3, and I can see it is in fact true. Negative 6 equals negative 6. Okay? I hope that's helpful for you. Just a reminder that there is a quiz on Friday over this review that we've been doing this week.